As we get deeper and deeper into the holidays, I think a lot of us get kind of nervous about being around mom and dad, and oh, is everything going to be okay
Mhm.
because they're don't move around quite like they
Mhm.
used
Mhm.
to, and you
Mhm.
just don't want an accident to happen,
Mhm.
especially during
Mhm.
holidays.
Mhm. And sometimes it allows you to be able to sort of notice that things might be changing a little bit that
Yeah.
maybe need to be addressed. Today, we are bringing in Sarah Pulse from Harmer and Allison Starkey, who is a physical therapist. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
I
Thank
think
you.
I think as we go and prepare to see our parents over the holidays, whether we're going to their home or they're coming to us, a lot of times this is a chance for us to be able to sort of check in and see how things are going. Are we noticing changes and things that might need to be done a little differently? So, Allison, let's start with you as a physical therapist. What are the things that we can be keeping an eye out for?
So I think, overall, we know our parents, very well. And usually at the holidays, there's been an interval of time for most people when they come to visit for the holidays. And so what we're looking out for is any kind of subtle change. Subtle changes in behavior or traditions that you've done together, like maybe there's a Christmas show that you've always liked to go to, or maybe a church service or something like that, and the senior has a different response to the situation than they normally would, such as, oh, you go in and do the shopping, whatever, and I'll just wait in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not sure I want to go this year. Or, different wall as you're walking along, maybe cruising on the edge of furniture, holding onto the sofa and then holding onto something else as they move around the house. And that may be something that's new or more exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
Difficulty getting in and out of the house, especially on stairs, maybe just taking one step at a time, one foot up, the other one to match it, rather than the usual stepping over one over the other,
Mm-hmm.
more dependence on a handrail or something like that. That could be an indication that some things are different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sarah, I know Kim is guilty when she goes to visit her mom that she'll think, well, mom's not moving like she used to. Maybe she needs some physical therapy or she needs to exercise more or something like that. But a lot of times there are things that can be done to the house or to the place where they live
Mm-hmm.
to make things a little bit easier. And that's where Harmer comes in, correct?
Yes, that's right. We Harmar makes products to improve our loved ones' home access. We make stair lifts that help folks get up and down a flight of stairs easily. We make platform lifts for folks that are in wheelchairs that need to get in and out of the house from a porch or a garage. We make ramps that are make it easier to get through thresholds. Thresholds are sometimes a pretty surprising place for folks to potentially trip and fall.
Mm-hmm.
So they overlooked. So thresholds are also important to us at Harmar. Yeah, and we have a great network of dealers that can really be a good partner for us as caregivers that can come in and provide home evaluations and make great recommendations and really provide a great experience making the home safer with installation and service and maintenance. And so the dealer and making sure you've got a good dealer partner is going to be very important.
Yeah.
And Allison, how can a physical therapist sort of help in this transition as well?
Oh, in all sorts of ways. There are many different types of physical therapy that you can engage with, either in an outpatient facility or, best of all, in the home.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a home health therapist come out with a doctor's order, or you can hire a private therapist that works in sort of the aging in place space. And they tend to be very well versed in all types of equipment that's available to the client, as well as some of these fabulous products that Harmar has, such as a stair lift or a vertical platform lift for people that have wheelchairs, that work particularly well for people in a situation where there's one person in a wheelchair and one person that's able-bodied.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of those.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the biggest problems for a lot of us is we don't really realize what could be done.
Mm-hmm.
How could our house change just by a little bit, that could help our parents so much.
Absolutely. And I think it's the little things that make such a huge difference. And employing a physical therapist that works in this space can really just like give you recommendations for right now, as well as like if you're thinking about changing your bathroom, these are some things that would really help you out in the future. I think a lot of things, you don't want to have to do right away, but if you're thinking about renovating your bathroom, these are some features that you'd really benefit from in the future.
Right.
Because my thought is that the biggest goal for all of this is for fall prevention.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Absolutely.
that is
Right.
just we know, and we hear so much about when there's a fall that just can have such negative implications on our parents as they get older.
Yeah, falls are one of the deadliest injuries that anyone can have. There's some dreadful statistic, 70% of all people that fall with an injury have a lifespan of less than 3 months after that fall. So these are really significant injuries that we need to do everything we can to prevent.
And how might you have a conversation with your parents when you start noticing that, hey, you're either slowing down a little bit, I'm a little more worried about you potentially falling, or I see some hazards in your home that may need to be addressed, or maybe there's some even in my home. How do you have those conversations?
I mean, in my own practice, I empower adult children with, approaching this as a concern from their point of view. Mom, dad, I'm concerned about the fact that you don't seem to be moving around anymore. And I was listening to this lady on a podcast, and she said that there are some things that we can do to keep you at home. The last thing we want to do is for you to injure yourself and then end up in a nursing home. We want you to be home and safe and be there as long as possible. Usually approaching it from we want to help you prevent something, I think is beneficial, because it puts the decision making back in the hands of the senior, which I think they think is the most important thing of all, that they're making their own decisions and they're being independent in making those decisions.
Sarah, you want to add to that?
Yes. So I not only do I work at Harmar Mobility, but I am also the daughter of an 89-year-old. And so I can speak personally that these conversations are among the most challenging conversations that we have as family caregivers. I think our parents have a hard time appreciating their physical decline. They can be stubborn. They can not appreciate the seriousness of falls and think it's not going to happen to them. And so I agree with Allison. Having these conversations from a place of love is going to be really important. We have a lot of resources on our blog at harmar.com to provide tips and coaching on how to have these conversations, because as I mentioned, me and a lot of other people at Harmar are in the same situation, having to have these conversations. And I would also say that having someone like Allison or a doctor also provide assistance in having these conversations. I think sometimes, certainly for me, my father is going to accept advice and counsel from a medical professional or a therapist, probably more than me. And so I think sometimes we have to get creative and think about the larger community to help us just make sure our parents are safe and are open to changing their home, and will accept the advice, whether it's coming from us or from someone else. The goal is to keep them safe and to help prevent them from falling. And however you get there, so that they're amenable to modifying their home, and then having the right dealer and the right products to make it easy and stress-free for you as a caregiver, I think is very important.
Yeah, very well said, Sarah, because I know we've gone through that with my dad. We joked years ago when they were still living in their house. My mom and dad were in their house, and there was a little upstairs part. And we kidded my dad about, you need a stair lift to get up there. And he would joke about it, but you can get something like that. But the good thing about Harmar is that it's not just the stair lift, but there's some little things you can get to help, again, keep the home safe. And that's the biggest thing that you're looking for as an adult child.
That's right. That's right. We also have a pretty broad selection of ramps. Sometimes ramps are an easier way to get our parents to accept needing assistance, and again, that accomplishes the goal of keeping them safe and preventing them from falling. And then later on, as maybe their health continues to decline, it's easier to move them from a ramp into something that will help them even more.
Right.
So good to know that there's lots of options to keep them safe in their home, as well as safe when they come to visit us as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for all the tips from both of you, and we appreciate it. And hopefully Harmar can help everyone stay safe in the future.
Yes, absolutely. We keeping people safe is what we're all about.
I think that's the biggest thing that we're looking for here is to keep people safe. And when you watch your mom or your dad walk around, move around the house or move around the neighborhood, wherever it is that they are, you want to keep them safe.
And when you haven't seen them for a little bit of time, you might be able to notice those changes a little bit more to where you know, okay, we need to take some action or try to make some changes.
Right. Remember, if there's any topics you'd like us to discuss, please let us know. Parenting Aging Parents.